All right, all right, all right. Hello, hello, hello to project stream number 13. This is Grimm's Lawyer, that's me, and I am here today to start a new journal. My last bullet journaling video was a few weeks ago, and in the following stream, I didn't end up showing the result. Oh, I did end up showing the result, but it was not viewable. But I just wanted to show my last spread, just because I did something a little bit more ornate that's more interesting to look at, maybe. I did a very elaborate border this time. Haven't finished filling out these last pages from last week. And that actually ties into how I'm going to set up my journal now. But that's this journal done. Now, this dotted journal is basically done. I have a blank page journal in here that I'm going to use for something, and a lined journal that I'm going to use for something else, but they are not going to be for bullet journaling. So that's actually, I'm probably not going to be using this for the next bit for my bullet journal, just because my new journal does not fit inside of it. So there's that. Now, I actually didn't take off the label and stuff for my new journal this time. For people who are like into like, what journal do you have? What like what brand are you using? Something I usually don't really keep much track of because I change so often what journal I'm using. But this journal that I'm going to be using now is a gift. It was a birthday / Christmas gift. I say slash because my birthday is really close to Christmas. And it is this dotted luxury notebook journal, premium perforated paper, 5mm dot grid. The net quantity is 2. This came in a pack of 2 journals. Paper Code, I guess, is the brand. I've never actually seen this in a store before, but it has sort of this like rough textured cover, which is kind of good because I drop things a lot, so it's like more traction, I guess. It has one of these bands. The other one in the pack of 2 that I was given, the other band broke off the other one, and that's okay. It's like not the end of the world. But I'm going to use the one with the band to start with. But if I open it up, we see the first page is blank. It's like sort of the outer page. And then the first actual dotted page is in here. And these pages actually rip out easily, which is kind of a blessing and a curse, just because of the way that I typically do my journaling, where I like, cut out the edges. That like sort of perforated bit where I could just tear it out. There's pros and cons, because if I'm cutting it, it might be more liable to break. But when I have this big gap in the middle, I'm also going to be less likely to do like a border that spans both, that connects, because of the lack of dots here on the inside. Let me open to the center of the book. This is going to incentivize me to do a different thing that I do sometimes. I think I've shown an example in my other journal. Sometimes I just put a strip of washi tape in the middle, which I know like puffs up the journal. I'm fine with that. It's kind of cool to see how the journal goes from being like super flat to like crunchy full. It's kind of nice. So I'm okay with that. I like to put the washi tape in the middle, but this will like extra incentivize me, I think, to put washi tape. Maybe get a thicker washi tape even, because this is like a big gap. This is a pretty big gap. But it's very nice paper. It looks a lot thicker than the paper before. Like, I don't imagine ghosting is going to be as bad. Ghosting was really bad in my last journal, where like the ink would bleed through. So I have a feeling this is going to be less. That's going to be less of a problem with this one, because the paper's a lot thicker. And the dots are darker, but that's fine. I don't really mind that. But like with the last one, you could kind of see the ghost of my hand underneath through the paper. So it was really thin, and that's not going to be a problem. So this is actually going to be really nice. It also has this little sort of bookmark too, which is kind of cool. And it has 2, which is going to be super useful for me for how I'm going to set up this journal. So yeah, this is the journal. I'm very excited. Thanks to my boyfriend for getting this for me. I'm very excited to use it. So that is my new journal, and it's kind of just got like a blank, rough textured cover. I like it. So what is going to be different about this journal setup? So in the past, what you've seen me set up usually, no, not usually, all the time, the only setup I've ever done on this stream is a hybrid weekly daily bullet journal setup. So if you've seen my past bullet journal setups, like I just showed an example, like this past week, what we have is I have a border that covers like the whole span of, this is actually 2 weeks, but sometimes historically I've just done 1 week. Let me go back to a different week. This one, can't read it. So what I have usually is the inner part is the dailies. I like separate out the days, write what I have to write for that day. And in the sidebar, it's sort of like a sidebar weekly that's just my work schedule and any other sort of recurring events or things that I have scheduled for those days. And I just use little symbols for those. Like these little circles are like, you know, parts of my job that I have to do at certain times. And I know based on the dot grid place that I'm at what time that is, and where it's located vertically is what class that it is that I'm teaching at that point. So that's sort of like my actual schedule part of the structure of my bullet journal. I just like put my schedule in a sidebar. And what that allows me to do is just kind of do whatever I want inside of the weeklies. And there are some weeks where I do more in them and some weeks where I do less. So what I've been finding lately is I'm in one of those periods where I'm using dailies a lot less. But that doesn't mean I don't have anything to journal about. In fact, I find myself needing journal space, but only having the space that I've put for my daily spreads in there. And I don't want to like mess up what I've done for my weekly setup for the days. So I just find myself not using my journal to take the notes that I need to take, which is counterintuitive to like the whole point of the journal. So this is why it's really good to be flexible when you're like trying to figure out what kind of setup you want. There are some periods in the year where I find the dailies more useful. Like for quite a few weeks, it was actually really useful to have the dailies inside and the weeklies on the outside. I've come back to that system a lot. It's sort of my like, I guess, default if I'm just like starting over journaling after a break from doing it. But there are other periods where that's not as useful. But I still find having a weekly schedule useful. But I want to use my journal for other things. And I often do use my journal as less just purely a bullet journal and more of what people call like commonplace book, where they'll just put any notes or thoughts that they have inside of it, which I think technically you're supposed to do it with a bullet journal too, as per like the Writer Carroll thing, but it's supposed to just be in like bullet points, I think. But with a commonplace journal, you just kind of put whatever you want in it whenever it comes to you. And that's kind of what I want my new journal setup to be, like in terms of what I do on the daily. But because it's a new journal, I also have things I want to set up, like capital S, capital U, in this journal since I'm starting on a new journal. So what you're going to see me do today is setting up the new journal, and then like just like with the overall things that I need in my journal from the beginning. And then you're also going to see me set up that system of having the commonplace journal while also having my weekly setup on the sidebar. So that is what we're going to be doing today. And as I'm doing so, I'm still going to be keeping an eye on the chat. I have that open. So feel free to ask any questions as I'm going, like why I'm doing a certain thing, or anything related to any of the other streams I've done, the Yester Lore stuff, the project streams I've been doing. I'm here to chat as well as work on my journal stuff. So let's get started. So I'm gonna start with I'm gonna leave this blank. I'm probably gonna like put in a sticker or something with where I can put my name and that sort of thing. And actually, you know, I'm actually gonna not wait to do that. I'm gonna do that right now. And I think what I'm gonna use is I have this little set of sticker Post-its that I'll put in for now. If I decide I don't like it, it's a Post-it, so I can just take it out. But here, what's going to go here is just the dates that I'm using this for, like the span, which I'm not worried about messing this up. I'm going to use a pen. I'll just put the date I'm starting it at, which is, today is the 4th of March. So I'm going to put so it's the 4th of March in Old English. I think I mentioned this last week. I'm back in my period of using Old English for my journal just because I feel like it, not because I don't like my conlang. I do like my new conlang. I'm just that urge to use a conlang that I was talking about a few weeks ago. It's gone away in my journal right now. I didn't actually leave a lot of space for the end date here, but this probably isn't staying in here. Anyway, just giving you an idea of I'm going to put a sticker in, one that I actually glue down, and then it'll have my name and then like the date. But this works for now just to remind me when it started it. And then later I will go back and be like, oh yeah, it was the 4th when I started my new journal. Of course, if I forget, I could also just go to YouTube and see that I uploaded this video. But here we go. So this first page, it's always more glued to like the front page than other ones. So I don't actually usually use this page for anything official. This is sort of where I usually just kind of put doodles or my grid spacing thing, although I usually don't actually like to put it on this. I usually like to put it on the second one because it at least lines up better with the other pages. But I think since these are perforated, I'm going to actually take this page out, and I'm going to try something that I've been wanting to try for a while, which is making a grid spacing ruler out of it. And the difference between a grid spacing spread, see, because this is like now it's a lot freer. A grid spacing spread versus a grid spacing ruler is the ruler you can actually like bring with you to other pages, but it'll still have like the length and width of things. So the thing about this journal is it also has like a pretty wide border of no dots. That's another kind of unique feature of this journal. And it kind of connects with the middle has no dots as well. Having the pages be able to pull out like this, actually, it's kind of useful because I feel like with the commonplace function of the journal that this is probably going to have for the next while, I might end up having spreads that are completely just something that's not, inherent to my journal that I might want to take out. So I might like take notes on something and then I want to just bring the note somewhere. I could take it out, but I could still put it back in if I need to, or tape it back in, or washi tape it back in. So that's kind of nice. I'm going to turn this one though into my grid spacing. So I'm actually what I'm going to do, and I haven't done yet, is count the number of spaces across and the spaces down. And the kind of other benefit of having the border is it's going to be consistent every page. Some of the journals that I've gotten that have spacing just throughout, it kind of gets offset as you go through the journal of like where the dots are in relation to the center of the page. But that's not going to happen really with this journal because they're all pull-out pages that have a border around them. So it's going to be like definitely consistent throughout how many squares I have to work with. So I'm just going to count the number of squares. And I'm not going to count the outermost one as a square. I like to leave that blank anyway, just in case there's like, gets damaged just from me turning the pages or that kind of thing. And I might sometimes put washi tape borders that flip over the edge as well. So I'm not going to count this, for example, this space. I'm just going to skip to this one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 24. Okay. So we got 24 across. So I'm just going to go like 24. All right, this is just pencil because I'm not going to write it like that. And then we're going to have how many up and down? So we got 38. Okay. So it's up and down 38. So the way that a grid spacing ruler is usually going to work, the way to make it work better, I think, is because it's going to be a ruler, it's going to be like, you know, more like this. And I can, like, you know, reposition it. There's going to be a line along this, but it represents the width of this line. It's like vertical, or sort of horizontal versus vertical. So I guess we could say like portrait versus landscape. So I'm going to pick a color that represents sort of like the size and the interval of this one. And then I'm going to pick another color, like sort of maybe inside, that's like this width and the divisions. So 38's a weird number. I think 36 was the number in my last journal. I can actually literally check. I have it right next to me. Because I might be misremembering. It might have been 38 there too, which means I'm working with the same dimensions. It was 38. Okay, yeah, it's 38. It's just 24 across rather than 20 across because it was a thinner journal. So this is actually the same. That's interesting. This is like the same number of spaces up and down as my last journal. So I'm working with the same sort of vertical dimensions, which is good to know because I got pretty used to how to divide that for my sidebar. And the vertical matters the most for my sidebar just because I put like days, but those days have grid height as a factor that matters for, you know, like how many hours I work and that kind of thing. So I need enough space in those. But knowing I have the same amount of space is actually really useful. I just have more space across, which is actually kind of nice. I could even make my sidebar thicker or something. Although I kind of don't want to do that in this journal. I want to keep it the way it is, which is just a size of a width of 2 is all I really need for my schedule. And then I think it's a maximum of what that I need for my, or no, a minimum, I mean. I need a minimum of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? What's my longest day? I need a minimum of 6 width, or sorry, height for my sidebar days. I mean, I guess I could do a minimum of 5 if I were to make it wider. That would actually be better. Because then I don't have to be limited to just the weekdays. I don't have to just do like Monday through Friday, which is all I really need for it anyway because it's where I put my work schedule. But if I want to do things other than work, I can't really include those if I do 6. But if I do 5, if I open it up to the side and put the date in the side next to, because usually it goes like the date and then my work schedule going down. But if I do 3 width, I could do the date and maybe some other things besides work that are recurring, and then I could put my work schedule here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think is the longest it gets to put my work schedule in. And that could be a weekday, and I can fit 5, 6, 30, so 35. I could fit all 7 days with some extra space. I don't even have to combine the weekend if I do that. I could have each day of the week be 5, and that would actually work out great. So that's good, especially because this border is disincentivizing me from doing interlace borders, which I think, as much as I love interlace and I'm going to keep doing interlace, I don't feel like I want to do that, at least to start with this commonplace book thing. The interlace border works really well when I'm doing my hybrid weekly daily, but because it's a commonplace book right now, it's not going to be, it doesn't make sense to like border it all in together anymore. But yeah, so this is going to be my grid spacing. Oh, someone's in the chat. Hello. Oh, it's you again, Hearts 80. Trying to pronounce each S there. So yeah, this is going to be my grid spacing ruler. I don't think I'm going to start with that right now. I'm going to do that later. I might come back to this, but I do want to fold it up so I can remember this is going to be my new grid spacing ruler. Now, you can see probably in your view now some of the other stickers I have. So I have this sort of like little grid sticker that I used here temporarily for just giving me the when I started this journal. And I have these 2 little dots that are nice for decoration and stuff, or important things. And then I have these sort of bookmark type Post-its. And then I have this to-do Post-it. I don't use these that much. I won't use these for like my actual to-do list in my journal because A, there's like too much space and not enough spaces for all the things I have to do. But this is useful for like a specific task that has steps sometimes that I don't necessarily feel I need to put in my journal, but I still want to write out. I often just use my phone's like notes app for that kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, Hearts 80s. I journal too, but people make fun of me so much. That's silly. People shouldn't make fun of you for that. If I didn't journal, I don't know what would happen. I do know what would happen. I do know what my life looks like when I don't have anything planned out in a place. There are periods where I'll journal less, like I feel less of the need to, but just knowing that it exists for me to have as reference is really, it's grounding. Oh, and I got these. This I actually got at Daiso. I also got these new washi tapes that I'm going to debut in this journal. These washi tapes, I got these at Daiso. These are like die cut seal, like sort of floral, gold things. I haven't actually tried them out yet. They're not even opened. I scrapbook so much. It's like my DNA a little. Yeah. I actually don't scrapbook much, but in so this is this past 2 weeks spread from my last journal. I'm starting my new journal today. But in the week before, I actually went on a trip, and I did scrapbook. I like cut out little things from brochures and stuff and put it in. And it was actually really fun. I don't scrapbook much, but I kind of wanted more. That's kind of also part of why I'm switching to a sort of commonplace book setup for this next little while. Both because my weekly daily hybrid isn't working out for me as much right now, and also because I really enjoyed doing that scrapbooking and I kind of want to do more of it. So yeah, I'm very motivated to do sort of more miscellany in here. So my first page in a new journal that I start out is usually an index. So if I'm starting an index, I'm going to start with this washi tape actually. I'm excited. It's very like oceany looking. It's kind of cool. I'm going to just do a little bit at the top just to kind of create a, kind of fill in that border that this book has. This sort of blank dotless border at the top makes it look less empty. And I'll do one at the bottom as well. There's not as much space at the bottom, but that's fine. I doubt I'm going to use the bottom dot row anyway. And for now, I'm actually just going to leave this page blank. What I usually do is I will put page numbers at the bottom of my journal if it doesn't have them, which usually doesn't. I actually wasn't doing that in my last journal, and I regretted it because I was like, wait, these don't have page numbers. But in the past, I've put page numbers on my journal, so this will be 1. And then, especially in a commonplace journal like this, it's good to have because if I, let's say I take notes on, let me make something up, Frisian pottery. I don't even know if there's any extant Frisian pottery. I think there is. But if I do that on like this page, and later I'm like, oh wait, I know I took notes on Frisian pottery. I don't know where. I will write, if I take notes on something random, I'll write what page it's on up here. And this will be my index. And I'll probably split it down the middle to have 2 columns. And I'll say like just any random things that I have, I'll say what page they're on. So that in the future, when I want to go back to any notes on something, I can do that here. There are things I know I took notes on in here that I didn't put a page number for, and I'm just going to like scroll through it to look for them. So take notes on things, guys. At least note what page something is on, or put a bookmark or something if you know it's going to be important later. So yeah, this is going to be my index page. I'm going to leave it blank for now. I don't think I want to do any sort of fancy index title even. I don't know. I might put one of these in, though, at the top to sort of mark it off. I like this one to start. This little sticker. Yeah, cool. So I'll start my first one up here, and then it'll kind of go here. It'll be like a paragraph indicator or something. Oh, I'm just realizing that this is not fully in view. Let me go a little bit higher. There we go. All right, so that's going to be my index page. Very simple. I doubt I'm going to use more than this page. Like, I find that very unlikely that I will use more than this page. Okay, I might leave the back of the index blank. I'm going to think about that actually for a second. Do I want to leave the back of the index blank? And start my next things here. No, I'm not going to need the back of the index. I'm going to use it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do in this journal, let me flip to the page of my last journal where I have the notes here. What I was going to do is, okay, so since this is going to be a commonplace journal and not a daily, weekly hybrid like I usually do, when I do daily, weekly hybrids, I don't usually find the need to have a calendar in my journal because I have the whole week. And if there's something like more important, I'll put it in like an important note. And I could still do this in theory in this journal as well, but I like to have at least a space for important stuff. So I'm going to leave this page blank for important dates, and I'll do an important dates thing up here. I'm skipping that for now. Again, I'm trying not to be boring here, but I'm skipping that for now because it's actually not going to be that exciting of a spread. I'm just going to put like some text up here, maybe some knots, some interlace, and then like put dates in whatever language I decide to write it in, and then I'm just going to list important dates I know are coming up. It's going to be a very boring vertical list. So the first interesting spread, actually, is this is where I get into like my sort of year ahead reference. It's not a year at a glance like most bullet journal videos will have, and most bullet journals will use, which are very useful for some people. I don't feel the need to have a calendar. If something's like way in the distant future and I need to remember it, I just put it in my Google Calendar and I'll set an alarm. Like if it's a doctor's appointment several months in advance or something. So that's not the sort of thing I find the need for. But what I do like to have is sort of more personal or just interesting stuff that I know is like fun to have. One of the things I like to do is note the zodiac seasons. I don't really use astrology much in my life, but it's still fun to remind myself, like just knowing when certain birthdays are, like, oh yeah, that person's a Pisces or that person's a Taurus or whatever, or just being aware of where the sun is. I mean, I know technically it is no longer representative of where the sun goes through anymore. We're not in ancient Babylonian times. The sun is in different constellations at different times of the year now than it used to be. But it's still fun to know the zodiac seasons, I feel. And also, the equinoxes and solstices line up with some of them. So I like to have that in there. And I like to label these based on the deity that I most associate with that concept. So this is going to be my year at a glance, and then here I'm going to have my what I call my Sunna spread. Sunna is the sun goddess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a good pen, actually. Imagine using a good pen. Where is it? I have this very nice, the label's been completely, I don't even remember what brand it was. The label's been completely rubbed off. It had a label on it, but it's this nice like nib pen. Like it has like a thick nib, and I like that for calligraphy. This is going to be my Sunna spread. And I'm going to see just how good this paper is in a second, because I'm going to see how much ghosting or not ghosting I get. I'm going to go Sunna. All right. Wow. Minimal ghosting. Whoa. And this is like a thick, very like inky pen. So if this barely bleeds, I know I'm going to be good. That's actually really exciting. I was still a little worried, but I'm not anymore. And I'm going to get my gold gel pen, this Jelly Roll glitter gold pen, and put that over Sunna, because sun, gold, I think that makes sense to put together. And then what I'm going to do to make this look nice and easy to sort of reference is I have a system that I use with these 4 highlighters. I mark events and tasks with these 4 highlighters, and these 4 highlighters represent, in respectively, fire, air, water, and earth. And I use these with sort of their old alchemical significances and stuff. But in this context, it's going to mark what kind of sign that zodiac sign is. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, the order with the zodiac is actually kind of different than the order of the spheres. It's fire, earth, air, water. Yeah, it's fire, earth, air, water. So I'm going to go fire, earth, air, water. And the reason I'm using these 4 colors is just some of them do visually, like this blue, water, right? This sort of like, or it's like an orangish yellow fire. These 2 are just kind of arbitrary because they're different enough that I can tell them apart, but also my other pens that look more like earthy or airy have lost ink, and I need to get new. I need to get new highlighters. Is basically what I'm saying. But this is the set I have, and how I'm going to do this is I'm just going to put like a block, like a square of the element, basically, and then skip 3 and do another one. So we got fire, fire, fire. Okay. Did I put enough space there? Yeah, I think I did. Oh no. Did I mess up? I don't think I did. I think I'm fine. Then it goes earth, then it goes air, and then it goes water. All right, once those dry, oh no, yeah, once those dry, I'm going to put the actual symbol in there, but for now what I can do is put the date that season begins. And then I'll also mark the equinoxes and solstices. So I'm starting with Aries because that happens this month. And also, historically, Aries was the sign that you started with anyway. In my old journal, I started with Aquarius because that's what it was when I made the journal. Let's see. This is March. And then we have April. And then we have May. It's Taurus. And then in May, late May is when we get Gemini. And that's on the 21st. Okay. And then June. When Cancer starts, June 21st. And then we've got late July is when we get Leo. August is Virgo. Late August. Then we've got Libra starting near the end of September. Scorpio in October, late October. Sagittarius starting near the end of November. That T came out weird. And then Capricorn in December. And then Aquarius starts late January. Wait. It is the 20th of January, I think, next year. I can always change it. I don't know if I'm going to still be using this journal next January, but we'll see. Just being aware of when it is still fun. And then Pisces is here. Okay, and I'm using, if you can't tell, I'm using the Old English names of the months here. So that is my Sunna chart. All right, my next chart is the person who guesses the next one gets something, a mention, if they can guess what the next one's going to be. So we had Sunna, the sun, for this first spread. The next spread is going to be, believe it or not, let's leave 2 spaces. It's going to be Mona. Sunna is the goddess of the sun. Mona is the god of the moon. And I'm going to use my silver gel pen for him. Because that's fun. Oh, and next to, I don't think any of these flowers look a ton like a sunflower, but this one's kind of nice. It kind of has like a big open bud, so I'm going to put that one there. Hope that's visible. You can always zoom in a little bit more. You can see that. Okay, so Mona. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the moon phases. And I guess I'll do the whole year. It gets a little tricky with doing the whole year, though, because in August, there's going to be 2 full moons, and then it kind of offsets. So I'm actually going to make 5, wait, no, there's already going to be 5. I'm going to make 6 columns. The first column is going to have the name of the month, and then the next 5 columns are going to be the moon phase. I'll just draw it, and then I'm going to write the date underneath it for that month of when that phase is. And there will be 5 because after August, it's going to be like this full moon is going to be in the prior month. So it's going to be blank. It'll make sense once you see it. And I'm going to start again with March since that's the month that it is. So I'll go like this. I will do... Sorry, I was considering how I'm going to do the colors. It's fine. I'll figure it out. So, okay, so I'll start with March, which is Shida here. There are actually 2 Old English words for March. Actually 3 if you count Martius, which does show up sometimes. We'll just borrow the Latin word. But other than Martius, which is Latin and therefore cheating, it's not cheating, but it's not the Old English name. There is Hreidmonath. Hreidmonath seems to be named after the goddess Hreid or Hreida. And then there's Llida, which means like noisy one. And then the Menologium, which is sort of like a astronomical-ish text, but it's mostly about the months in Old English, which I think it's based on a translation, but it's its own composition in Old English. Llida is personified as like the March weather coming to town, because March, at least in this time period, was in England, was like very harsh weather, basically. Sort of like winter's last stand before, it starts to become more spring-like. Okay, so we got Llida, and I'm gonna leave some space. I'm just gonna go through and write the months then. We've got Astermonath. And if you're new to the Old English month names, you'll see a lot of them end with monath. That means month. That's where I get month from. Monath. It's a mona unit, a unit of moon, which is kind of fun because we're counting lunations, especially in sort of an earlier Old English period before more and more people got accustomed to just using the Latin, the Julian calendar. Oops, that's a typo, or not a typo. I mean, it is a typo. It's a typographical error, but there we go. Llida. Looks ugly, but that's fine. We're not about perfection here. People mostly just counted lunations to keep track of time in early England, is at least a popular theory, that they used a mostly lunar calendar, or like a lunisolar calendar, instead of something more sort of fixed like the Julian calendar, which is sort of based on one anyway. It wasn't like a huge adjustment for people to make, but it was an adjustment. But yeah, people just counted lunations, which is why we call them months. Although lunations are slightly shorter than most of our months. 29-ish, if I'm like rounding, 29-ish days for a lunation. Honeymonath, Winterfilleth. Yeah. For a couple of these months, I use names that aren't attested in Old English, but that are attested in Old High German. For July, I use xiii, which is a calque of the word that means hay month in Old High German. Because Llida in Old English is used for both June and July. There's just like for Llida and after Llida, because Llida is like the midsummer celebration, basically. And then sometimes there's 3 Llida to like make up for, it was sort of like a leap month in the calendar sometimes that would go between for Llida and after Llida, ar Llida and after Llida is what they called it. But I just use Llida for June since that's when midsummer is. And I use a different word for July, the Old English translation of the Old High German. And I do a similar thing for January, because the same thing kind of happens with the winter solstice. The midwinter is Yule, and that is in December for us when we're using the Gregorian calendar. So I use that word Yola for December, and I use Wintermonath, which is another Old High German calque for like winter month, which is January. So I'll use Yola, Wintermonath, winter month for January, and then Solmonath, cake month for February. Yeah, so you've got the loud one, March, we've got Astra Monath, Easter month, or month of Astra, the goddess of potentially the dawn, goddess of the dawn, because the spring equinox is here, and that's, you know, the dawn is as east as it gets throughout the year, as due east as it gets. Trimilcha is April. It's the three milking, or not April. May is the three milkings. Lida, it actually just kind of means chill vibes for midsummer. Hia Monath is hay month. Like I said, Weod Monath is like crops, month of crops. Weod is like growing things. It's where we get the word weed from, but the word in Old English is more generic for like crops or like growing grass. Hali Monath, holy month, is September. We're likely sort of like harvest festival things going on then. Winterfilleth is October. It's the winter full moon is what that refers to. Blot Monath is sort of sacrifice month. That's probably also where they had like post-harvest festivals, basically. And then we have Yola for Yule. So those are the Old English months. Now what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to put the moon phase that I'm recording here. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space. And then I'm going to put I like to put 3 spaces, I guess, between each one. Maybe I should put it in the middle then. No, it's fine. I could start here. So that's in the middle. 1, 2, 3. And then we could go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to have another full moon over here. And I'll draw these out. So it's going to go full moon, last quarter, new moon, first quarter, and then we're going to go full moon again for later on in the year. So what I'm going to do for each of these is I'm going to put the date that it is, and then I also like to put where the moon, like what sign the moon is in, or not what sign. What's the word I'm looking for? What day of the week it is. That's the word I'm looking for. What day of the week is it that phase is on? So the day and the day of the week. So the first one is actually March. That's not right. Wait. Yeah, March 7th, which is a Tuesday. March 7th, and I'm going to draw the little Mars symbol for Tuesday. And then March it's the 14th, which is also a Tuesday. And then March 21st, which is also a Tuesday. And then we've got March 28th, which is also a Tuesday. So all the milestone moon phases in March are on Tuesdays. So that's kind of cool to see. All right, and if you're wondering where I'm looking at, I actually did this in my prior journal, so I'm just referencing that prior journal. So if there's a mistake here, it's probably because I made a mistake or I'm just misreading my prior journal. So let me know if you notice that something's wrong. I would really appreciate it. So then we've got April. So April 5th, which is a Wednesday. So I'm going to draw the little Mercury symbol. 13th, which is a Thursday, so I'm going to draw the Jupiter symbol. The 19th, which is another Wednesday. And then the 27th, which is another Thursday. All right, so just Wednesday and Thursday alternating this in April. And then for May, we got the 5th again. That's on a Friday, so it's Venus. 11th is also a Friday. 19th is also a Friday. And then the 27th is a Saturday. All right. Cool, cool, cool. I'm actually really liking how this is coming out visually. So then we've got... I think I'll only go up to June for now, and I'll just add these in later because I don't think this is going to be fun for me to do all of the moon phases for the entire year. I'll just stop at June, and I'll come back and fill these in on my own time later because there's more things I'm sure you probably want to see me set up. So the 3rd is a Saturday. The 10th is another Saturday. I'm drawing a little Saturn symbol for Saturday. The 17th is another Saturday. Lots of Saturday moon phases in June. And then we've got the 26th, which is a Monday. Drawing a little moon symbol. Okay. So those are the moon phases up to June. I will come back and fill in the rest of the moon phases later, but I do want to pick a sticker for these as well. I kind of want to pick these ones. These ones are really nice for the moon. I don't know why. Almost remind me of little cotton balls or something. But yeah, so we got sun spread, moon spread, and this will be filled out with the lunar phases. And what these are going to do for me is, since this is more commonplace journal and journaling in this period, on those days, I'm going to try, if I have time, to remind myself using this to do a little bit of journaling for specific things during those specific phases. There's sort of different associations the different moon phases have with like different emotional things, and those would be good things to like reflect on during those times is the idea. There's nothing scientific about that. It's just a fun association to have. So those my sun and moon spreads. There are a few other spreads I want to go to though, before I actually get into like what the week is going to be like when I put that in. So the next thing I want to include is a spread for it's not really a habit tracker. I've used habit trackers before, sort of another thing that I've gone in and out of doing, but most of the time I feel like it's not useful for me to have habit trackers, because even if I try to mentally tell myself like it's fine if I don't fill it in, I still feel like guilty, and that's a demotivator for me to actually do it, because I associate it with guilt and therefore I don't do it. That's how procrastination works a lot of the time. So what I have instead is just sort of like what goals I want to like put, sort of goals for specific things that I want to be doing. There are some time sensitive ones, like there's things I want to be able to do. One of the things that I put in my journal sometimes is practicing piano is something I'm trying to get back into, because I went like quite a few years without even touching a piano. But I have a keyboard, like an electronic keyboard now, and I can actually practice songs and stuff, which has been nice. So I try to like do that at least a couple times a week, a few times a week. I'm trying to do it more often. And so keeping track of those things. And then also there are certain sort of stretches I try to do regularly for health reasons that I need to do them. So what I want to try to do on this page is I want to try to put like goals that I have. I'm not going to actually write the goals out, but I am going to sort of leave a space for them here right now. And I'm going to use some different stickers here that I know I want it to look like. I want to put a few different goals here. I actually think I'm going to make this page Oh, I need to divide it into 3. So I'm going to divide it by 12 and then leave 1 extra space on either side, I think is what's going to happen. So the way I could do it is I'm going to use this washi tape now. Haven't used this one yet. It's kind of cute. Actually, I haven't seen what it looks like when you pull it out. The other one looked very nice and oceany. Ooh, ooh, that is nice. Okay. Okay, I'm noticing it's going off the page a bit. Oh no. This one I kind of do want to be a little nicer on the edge, but that's fine. Okay, that's fine. I'm probably going to cut off this edge bit because it goes off the page. So that's what I'm working with there. And I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom just to like contain it inside of my journal. What I'm trying to do, this one is definitely going to go off the page. I'm just going to cut the excess washi off the bottom of my page, I think is what's going to happen. Because there are 38 squares up and down, and I need 3 sections, I'm dividing each one into 12, which is 36. 3 and 12 is 36. And so there's 1 extra on the top and bottom that I'm covering up with washi tape, and that's just giving me a border as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is divide them into 12s. So I'm just going to do that with these post-it note thingies that I got recently. I'm not going to actually write it, like draw anything yet. I might draw something later, like a little interlace border or something. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then under here, or actually, I'll put it on the one that it starts on. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Let me put one at the top just to see if it's even, if it looks even, because sometimes even if something is mathematically even, it doesn't end up like aesthetically looking even, and so you kind of have to adjust and make it technically not even to look even. Because I want this to be an appealing page to look at, because I'm going to come back to it to remind myself of my goals. Okay, so at the top I'm going to have like sort of goals related to arts, piano, and poetry. There's like goals I have for those things. And I'm going to write, where's my little pen again? I have a DD I associate with that as well. It's going to be my yacht section. I'll put a little sticker. And then this next part is for stretching goals and just physical sort of goals. I think I need to just move this one up. I think that'll make it look neat, like more balanced, even though it's technically smaller. I might even put this bottom washi higher so it's not going off the page, just because the bottom section is technically bigger now. Just going to use the bottom of my page as the edge. Put it on like I did with the top. Okay, there we go. That's better. Okay, so the second one is going to be my physical goals, and I have alcohol that I associate with that stuff. And then I have stuff related to like tech related projects that I'm working on, because I run a website. If you didn't already know, I have a website. It's actually a NeoCities website where I host articles and stuff, and there's like code I have to write for that, and I want to keep track of those projects and stuff here, and I associate that kind of crafty stuff. And there's other craft stuff I'm going to put here other than my website as well. And I associate that with Wayland. So there's that, Wayland. So I got these sections, and I'll just do some stuff with that too. I'm going to use silver for that. I'm going to use gold for Ercole. And then I'm going to use this sort of more like, it's sort of got more of a yellowish, greenish tint to it, like olivey gold tint to Wayland. There we go. Okay, and I'll pick some flowers for these too, because that sounds fun. Ooh, okay. I think for that, actually no, this one would be good for Wayland. These ones. I'm going to put them under the name of the god. And then I've got for I'll do this one for that. And maybe this one. It's kind of sort of carnation-y or something. Or not carnations. I can't figure out what these flowers are. But I'm going to put these for Ercole. Yeah, because I'm mostly going to be using this space over here for these. Then what comes next is my what goes next? Oh yes, I'm doing spring cleaning in March, so we're getting into like the specific March stuff, I guess. So I might just have this be my like March page for like big March stuff. I might put like a little mini calendar for March. I don't know. It's already March 4th. It's not too late for a March calendar to be useful. But what is important, you know, you can even transfer some of like the sun and moon stuff too. Oh, that reminds me, I forgot to put the equinoxes. Yeah, let's do the equinoxes. So the day that Aries starts is the spring equinox. The 22nd or the 20th of March, and then the solstice is in June, summer solstice. And I'm kind of using the same color motifs as with the moon phases, but for the sun this time. And then the fall equinox is in September. Forgot to use pink there. Whoops. And then the winter solstice is in December, hence the name. All right. Cool. Got my equinoxes and solstices in. I forgot about those because we have one. So I can, transfer this into the month if I want to. I'll leave space to do a little like sort of calendar in the corner. But the important thing for March is I'm going to be doing spring cleaning in March. The big celebration in March, Old English wise, before Christianity, of course. After Christianity, the big celebration in March. Well, I mean, it would just depend on if Easter was in March, really. But Bede says that there was a celebration on the equinox, or not the equinox. There's a celebration in March to xiii. Or xiii. Sometimes I just write xiii. Yeah, I could use thorn then. And this one's going to be gold because she's associated with Mars. All right. Hey. What flower is she going to get? I'll give her this one. Goddess of Victory. And in spring, in March, I'm going to do a big spring cleaning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a list of everything in my apartment that needs to be clean. So this is the space for that. And for cleaning, typically for like, the way that I use these colors for like element stuff, things that are for like finances or my physical health, food, all that kind of stuff is usually earth. It's like very like physical needs. I usually do earth. And then for like mental health stuff, I usually use water and I use blue. Oftentimes those things are like, those are very much intertwined. And the cleaning is kind of both for sort of hygienic upkeep of the apartment and also my own mental health and feeling like everything's organized. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a big blue line where I think I'm going to write my list, and I can always make it longer if I need to, but that's sort of what I'm imagining is going to be around where I need. And I'll do this sort of overlapping with it so it looks kind of like a nice purple and blue line. And that's how I'm going to do my March cleaning list for what I need to clean and downsize and get rid of and keep and all that kind of stuff in March. And I think I want to use other washi tape here too. The little, where is it? The watery one. I'm going to put it at the bottom of the page, I think. I hope you can see. Yeah, I'm going to put this at the bottom of the page. And then when I'm done with whatever I have up here, I'll add one. Actually, no, I'll do it now. I can write around it. I'm keeping this spread very minimal, just with like stickers, lines, and washi tape. I haven't really done any interlace or anything yet. I can always add that in later if I feel like it's too empty, but I've been doing a lot of interlace in my journal lately, and I think maybe I want to break from that for a little bit. Just little motifs here and there are fun, but I'm going to try to keep it nice and neat with this new journal here. All right, so that's my March. This is going to be my March. I'm going to have a calendar somewhere, but the most important thing is the cleaning up here. So yeah, that's that spread, which means the only thing I have left to do is to set up my weekly and get ready for the using the new setup. And so this is the exciting part, because this is where it's different from prior journal with me's that I've done. Let's see, I need to open up my schedule. Actually, I'll do it all on my own time maybe, but I still want to see what it looks like. Yeah, I actually do want to see what it looks like still, so I can plan accordingly. The spaces. So the key difference, which I think I already mentioned earlier, between this setup and my prior setups, is that I'm not doing the border. around the week because I'm not doing dailies inside of the week that I need to, hold together. But I still would like to have some kind of cohesion with each week, knowing where one week begins and ends. And obviously, I'm going to put the dates on things when I write them, so that's not a real issue. But just aesthetically / organizationally, I need to have some kind of unity with the weeks. So what I'm going to do is I will make my sidebar for like my sort of schedule over here, my sidebar schedule. But then I won't do the same on the other side. I won't like make it two. I'll just make it all fit on one page, on one sidebar. And then what I do is, let's say I use up all this space and the week is not done. Like I use more than these pages. What I do is I go on to the next week and then I just cut off the edge so that you can still see my schedule on the next page, which is the same kind of effect that you get from like what I was doing before with like my weekly hybrids, where I'd have my dailies on the inside and then, okay, it's going to be Thursday now, or no, it's going to be Friday now, so I need to flip to the next page, but you can still see my schedule for that week. So it's all as well kind of thing. So that's the idea there. Is that I'll do that just without the planning the whole week ahead. I'll just, on this page, just in case, I'm going to leave a margin that corresponds to the width of my space here, the width of my, what do you call it, weekly schedule. And I'm going to block that out with pencil because it's going to go like this. And I think I said each day gets 5 with some extra space on the top and bottom. Actually, I'll leave the extra space at the top and bottom now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I start my weekly schedules on Monday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I start with the moon and with the sun, basically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In terms of the planetary symbols I'm using. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday. Friday. Saturday. Sunday. Okay, now I'm dissatisfied with that because I almost never have more than like 1 or 2 things on Saturday and Sunday, and I'm always fine combining them. So I think I am going to reshuffle and divide the week by 6 instead of 7, which 38 divided by 6, ooh, it's kind of awkward. No, that's fine. It'll just be 6 and a space on the top and bottom, I think, is all. I think that's right. Yeah. This means I need to rewrite all my lines. Okay, so leave a space at the top, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait. How did that come out to 5 again? I recounted that 3 times. I think it's because I see this ghost line and it's messing me up. Okay. So how this is going to work, and it's 3 width. So I'll put the date on the side, and I'll have my work schedule like here. And that usually goes 5 down at max. So I'll put the date, any kind of like maybe astronomical things, like if, you know, the full moon is coming, it's going to be on one of these days. It's going to be on Tuesday. So I'll put the date. I'll put like the day of the week as a symbol, the number day, and I'll put that it's the full moon there, for example. And then I'll have my day of the week, and I have a little bit extra space if there's any kind of like habit that I want to keep track of, like piano or my stretches. I can like actually write that out on there, or if I have an event, and that leaves space for that. So what this means is I need to leave a margin on the other side for that width. So it's going to be 3. I need to leave a margin of 3 so that if I go over, if I use all of this before the end of the week, which is possible because like I said, I've been needing to take notes, and going to my bullet journal and being like, oh, my dailies are there. I don't want to ruin those. Here I can take notes, so there's a good chance I might use all this up. And then what I can do, flip to the next page, but since I didn't use this margin on purpose, I could just cut it off. Like I can sort of preemptively folding it just in case I need to do that, which I do foresee myself using all this space this week, which is why I'm like, I feel so confident that I'm going to need this margin. But in general, that's the principle of like using this as a commonplace book that still has my schedule in it. I can still be like aware of my schedule and have it there and not like cross things off while also like having my notes in front of me for things, if that makes sense. So that's the idea, is having a margin. Now the thing with the way I do commonplace book setup stuff is I also have a margin for the content anyway, which is to say, if I'm like taking notes, I try to take it in a narrower space so that I can like make comments on them, sort of like Cornell note style, if you've ever used Cornell notes in school or anything like that. You have like sort of a sidebar where you can like add extra things, take notes, or even just doodle next to it. Like if you've ever read a medieval manuscript, you'll see a lot of the time they actually condense the text in sometimes so that they can like have marginalia on the side, like taking notes or like writing an explanation of something or giving a definition or drawing pictures of knights fighting snails. You know, all sorts of stuff would go in those margins, and I like to have that too if I want. And this bigger journal with like wider, I have 4 more squares than I usually do on the side. That actually is kind of perfect for what I want to do. So I like to have an inside margin just because it's kind of awkward writing on the inside of the book anyway, of like 3 maybe. Maybe less so on this side because it's easier to write on this side closer in. So I'll do 2 there, I think, is my margin on this side. Because I can maybe count this a little bit. No, I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to do 3. Just to have more space. Again, it's kind of like Cornell notes. I can be like, this is notes on X. I can give maybe a citation or a page number if I'm taking notes on a book or something. And I also like to have outside margins too. Maybe 3 as well over here, or maybe just 2. And this could be a place that's maybe at the very least a buffer zone between the edge of my notes and my schedule, or the edge of the page when I cut this out. Because then what I can do, if I don't end up using this, I can do like a little interlace design or something like that, or put washi tape. Speaking of which, I want to put washi tape on the inside of this. I'm going to cut the edges, don't worry. If that's bothering you right now, seeing that. I'm trying to center it, mostly center it. This is very cute washi tape. Daiso has the cutest things a lot of the time. They just have like little animals on stuff. And it's all very nice. Oh, there are my scissors. The only downside now to using this journal instead of this one is that this one had a pocket where I could keep things like my scissors and washi tape in the bag. But now it's all in my little pencil bag that I use. I actually think I need a new pencil bag soon. This one I've had for a couple years now, and it's gotten a little weathered, we'll say. I think I want a new one. Okay. And I guess I'll take this opportunity also to go ahead and cut the edge of these things too. It's just a little bit over here. Whoa, that was interesting. Okay. Just a little bit at this bottom corner. I'm kind of unsatisfied with the edge of this too. I don't ever really need the edge of my washi to be like super straight unless I'm like trying to use it as a liner for like separating something. I don't really care if my washi is like a straight line edge. Some people really don't like it when it's a straight line edge anyway. But that little thing coming off of it was kind of bothering me. This is fine. a little tapered bit is fine. And then that is kind of coming off the page. I'm going to cut that off too. Okay, so this needs washi tape, I've decided. I'm going to try to keep it cohesive. I have other washi tapes I use. One in particular that I use a lot is, especially lately, because I've had it lately, is this moon one. It's like moon and stars, which might make sense for Mona. I also have this sort of like starry one that would fit, I guess. I mean, this is like mostly astrological, astronomical stuff. So maybe I will use this one, like sort of as a separator. I haven't used this one a lot. Maybe it deserves to be used. But it does kind of make this a less consistent sort of setup, but I'm not trying to have like one specific theme necessarily. This is not that kind of channel where it needs to be like, this is my March theme. I admire the people who put all the effort to plan out those themes. That is not me. I just like to put based on what's in my pencil bag and what I think looks cute. This looks cute, so yeah, because we're in like the sun and the moon, there's the stars. It fits. But yeah, if I wanted to be more consistent, I would just use this washi tape, these two. I do think I like these two colors together, especially as we're moving out of winter and into spring. It's sort of like some yellow. Haven't used a lot of yellow in my journal in a while. It's more of, I usually save those colors for summer, but I'm ready for spring. So this is sort of anticipating spring. So I'm going to have my schedule sidebar, which I guess I'll start writing since I still have time. The stream is not over yet. Wait, where'd my other sticker palette go? I literally just had it in my hand. This is odd. I just lost the stickers I had in my hand. Oh no. Did I actually accidentally put it in my old journal and then close my old journal on it? Yes, I did. I did exactly that. There they are. Just trying to put my stickers away. I think these make really good paragraph starters. Like you put one there and then you write your paragraph after it. I'm going to implement that, I think. I'm going to get more of these next time I go to Daiso. These are really nice looking floral stickers. Very simple looking, but very pretty. Come on, go in. The trials and tribulations of putting something in a plastic sleeve. There we go. All right, and then we've got, I just want to set up, prepare, at least, my setup for the week. Weekly sidebar. So weekly sidebar typically goes a square of orange, which to me represents the element of fire, like I said earlier. And I use fire for things that are like, I don't know, like, how do I explain it? Have some sort of like magical significance or association. And the days of the week are named after the planets, and that feels kind of mystical and magical to me. There are definitely like associations with the planets and different things, so I use it. It also just, it's the color in my of these highlighters is the color that pops the most while also being a good background color, so it kind of dually has that purpose. So that's the background I use for the planet symbols I use to mark the days of the week. So I got Monday Moon, Tuesday Mars, Wednesday Mercury, Thursday Jupiter, Friday Venus, Saturday Saturn, Sunday, sun. And then I know that I work every weekday this week, so I'm going to use, this sort of like magenta-ish color to mark, like I said, sort of tasks that have to do with finances or food or sort of physical needs, and work is a physical need. I need to work so I can, live in a place and eat and stuff. And I use this to check off once I've, done my hours. I check that off. And underneath that goes my actual work schedule, which classes I teach when. We'll go there. I can fill that in on my own time later. And then there's some recurring event type things I have too. Because I have this extra sidebar space. Oh, I need to write the day of the week as well. Whoops. I'm going to put a little strip of orange there. The day of the week is important as well. So Monday is the 6th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 6th. 7th is Tuesday. 8th is Wednesday. 9th is Thursday. 10th is Friday. 11th, Saturday. 12th, Sunday. Now, what astronomical events are there this week? We have the full moon on Tuesday. The last quarter is next week. So I will put, you see, I should put, for an astronomical event, I should put a blue, put an orange, but I like to put blue for the full moon, if you didn't notice that over here. I like to put blue for the full moon. Gives me watery feelings, which makes a lot of sense. The moon and water are connected. People have known that the moon has a relationship with the tides for thousands of years, so I think it makes a lot of sense to connect the moon with water. So I'm going to put that there and do my little circle that indicates the full moon. So that's just reminding me that the full moon is on Tuesday, so I should probably do some kind of like mental health reflective journaling or something that day. Find a cool prompt to write about or question or something like that. I've been wanting to do that more. Have I made any attempts recently? No. So I'm going to try to work on that. And then other things, so habit stuff. I know I want to, or not habit stuff. I'm not going to put that in preemptively. I've been doing that in the past, and I'm getting really mad at myself for not actually getting to it, which is why instead of doing any kind of habit tracker thing, I'm going to do these goals here, and then have sort of like slots I can put it in, or even just include it in the body of like, oh yeah, by the way, I am practicing this song on the piano today. Bam. Something like that. But there are recurring events that happen this week. So I know that on Tuesday, there's this event. Wednesday now, Thursday now, Tuesday or Thursday. Oh yeah, this week Tuesday or Thursday something might happen. But I know that there's a thing on Saturday that I'm doing, which is this stream. And then I'm gonna do this recurring event on Friday. Okay. I'm not going to actually write what those are right now. I'm just going to put the little event circle that I use for events. That's a Ryder Carroll thing. That's a classic bullet journal thing. Circles for events. Dots are boxes for tasks. I cross them off differently than the Ryder Carroll system. I have a different way of migrating things, but I do use the circles for events. Some people use different shapes for different events. Some people use triangles. It just kind of depends on the vibe. I never need a key, because I have my symbols in my head pretty standardized since I've been journaling for the past, let's count, been like 6 years since I've been bullet journaling. So, which is wild to think about. It does not feel like it's been that long, but 3 of those years went by way too quickly, and also weren't real and didn't happen. So, yeah, that is my spread. That's my setup for going forward. So it's just gonna be my schedule on this sidebar. No weekly stuff, like no daily pre-daily setups. I'm gonna put the date when I take notes on something, or when I scrapbook. If I put something in, I'll write somewhere what day it is that I'm doing it. But I'm gonna be a lot more free, a lot more sort of random. I think I'm in one of those periods. The last time I got into like commonplacing this sort of style was last June, and it worked for me very well for a while. The only reason I stopped is because like my schedule changed, and like I needed a more rigid sort of like, these are the days of the week kind of thing for that period of time. And then I took a break from journaling for, it wasn't a deliberate break, but my journaling kind of petered out in late fall, and I didn't really get back into doing it rigorously until January. I have these sort of cycles that happen where I'm like, I use my journal a lot and then I don't use my journal a lot, and it's fine. It's just like, there's nothing bad about using it or not using it. It's just what is helpful at that time in my life. And that's how it should be. It's a tool at the end of the day. It's not an obligation. And if it feels like it's a chore, then maybe there's something else that you can do instead of journaling. Some people use, their Google Calendar. Some people use Notion. Different things for different people. Some people just don't schedule things and they just let things float in their brain, and that actually works for some people. I cannot relate to that, but it's real. I can attest it works very well for some people to just kind of keep it in their head. So just find what works for you. I find that it's not a chore to set up my journal. It's fun to set up my journal. I just need to make sure I have time for it. And what better time than when I'm supposed to be streaming? Why not share it with you guys? So yeah, that's my setup. I'll go through it one more time and then we'll end the stream. So I'm going to put a sort of title thing here. This is a placeholder for now, just reminding me what day I started this. This is going to be my index. I'm not going to have anything fancy. I just have like a little flower sticker. And this is just going to be like, what page I do certain things on, because I'm going to be taking notes on research and stuff in here. Then I have a sort of blank page just for, what do you want to call it? Like ancillary stuff, miscellany. I might actually make my pocket. I was thinking of doing my pocket out here. I'm going to make like a paper pocket to put things in, but I might put it here actually instead, inside the book, instead of being in the edge. I don't know. I'll decide later. The edge is kind of sturdy, so maybe I should put it on the edge. But yeah, I might do just sort of random doodles or like important events here. I did mention I will do important events. I don't think it'll take up the whole page though. So I might just do other random stuff here. Recipes or something. Then I have my sun, my sunnah, this sort of spread of just like where the sun's going through. I know this is not where the sun's literally going through anymore, but historical zodiac dates and the equinox and solstices for the year. Then we have the moon, and I have moon phases. I'm going to fill in the rest of this on my own time, but it will be full with all of the full last quarter, new first quarter dates for the year. Then I'm going to have my spread where I talk about artistic stuff, goals that I have that I want to be keeping track of, mostly piano, but some other art stuff as well. Then I have my sort of physical health goals. I have sort of physical activities that I need to do and stuff. And any like maybe medical stuff might go there too. I don't know, maybe. And then I have sort of craft slash like sort of crafting stuff I've been doing. I have my website that I try to keep up with. An account code is a kind of craft, I guess. And then also, I'm trying to get back into loom knitting. I did some over the winter, and that was nice. That was fun. And I want to get into doing that again. Loom knitting, because that's fun and easy. It's just kind of a fun thing to do while I'm watching something or something like that. And then here is my March spread. This is where I'm going to put my March spring cleaning list of what I need to do, and then I might put a little calendar just for the, probably just for the aesthetic and maybe like a visual representation of some of this stuff that's happening in March. and any dates. There's actually a birthday that's going, a big birthday in my life that's going to be celebrated. Not my birthday. That's going to be happening in March. So, yeah. And then we have my space for my weekly schedule, and then we have where I'm going to be taking notes and so forth. And if I go over, I'm just going to cut this part off, repurpose that like I usually do, and we're golden. So that is my journal spread in my new journal. That's how that's going to work. I will put one here because I'm going to come back and fill this out. And then I will put one here. Yeah, because the next thing I'm going to do is put my schedule in. Then I'll go back and add my spring cleaning list and my goals, because I'll do that on my own time. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to put both here and just go in order. That might make more sense. I'll put the moon phases, then I'll fill out my goals. I'm still going to come back to spring cleaning, but then I'll put my days of the week. Okay. Cool. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this wasn't too boring, just watching me flip through my journal. I'm also going to make the grid spacing thing. In my next journal with me, which will be in a couple weeks, I will give you an update on how this went. You'll see my new grid spacing ruler and how the sort of common placing came out. I might have to cover some stuff up depending on what language I write it in. So we'll see. But I hope this was interesting, maybe inspirational, some stuff you might want to implement in your journal, or non-journal if you use some other kind of scheduling tool like Notion or something. Or just, I hope it might inspire you to get some washi tape. Washi tape is fun. I hope you got something out of this, is what I'm trying to say. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and thank you for the chat, for participating, and making your comments. I appreciate them all. And if you're watching this in the future, feel free to leave a comment on YouTube. Speaking of which, I have a kind of big announcement that you're not seeing my face for, which is, I guess, not ideal. But I have started, at the behest of some people, a Patreon. I've realized I've been doing this for over a year, and some people have told me that it might be a good idea to start a Patreon. So if you want to support the stream, as well as my linguistic articles, my philological articles that I put on my website, just all of my endeavors in this web sphere, you can now do that on Patreon. I am putting a link in the description of the upload of this video. I'm also going to add a link on Twitch if I can. So that is going to be in the link of the YouTube description if you want to check out my Patreon. There are 2 tiers currently, and there may be perks coming out later. I'm not sure, but I appreciate the support regardless. I also have, and this has been the case for a while actually, I actually have had a Buy Me a Coffee where you can now directly there, instead of contacting me elsewhere, you can commission a poem. I've had some people commission short little poems from me in Old English. So I have 2 sort of options there. If you go to my commissions page on Buy Me a Coffee, which is linked already on my Twitch and on YouTube, and is also linked on my Patreon. You can go to Buy Me a Coffee and you can directly there commission a short poem in Old English or in Old Norse, which I will also provide you with the translation, of course. I've had some people do that already, and I was like, I should just make a commission page for these so you can do that natively inside of the app or the website and just give me the information you would need to give me for the poem prompt and contact so that I can send you the poem when it's done. So that's also something you could do if you want to support in that way, or do a one-time donation over there instead of using Patreon. That's all available to you if you would like to support. Anyways, thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next stream. Next week we are going to be doing some old, what was it going to be? It's philological in nature. I know that. I can't remember what it is. It's not a yesterlore. I do actually plan on doing more Egyptian stuff soon because that got a bit of positive feedback. It's my most viewed video on the channel, actually, is that last ancient Egyptian video I did. So I will definitely be doing more Egyptian content, not for that reason, but because I had fun doing it. I love ancient Egyptian stuff. So I will definitely be doing some of that more soon. I am not doing it next week, though. I need some time to figure out what I want to read in ancient Egyptian. But what I will be doing, I shouldn't just have this closed. I should be like speaking with an interesting page open. Yeah. What I will be doing is I will be... What was it going to be? I've completely forgotten. I've completely forgotten what I was going to do next week. Not that I don't know what I'm going to do. I already have it planned. I just am not remembering at this time, and I don't have my stream schedule open. It's something linguistic / philological. Has to do with Old English or Old Norse or Gothic or something like that. What specifically is it? I do not remember. But something interesting is to come for sure. The week after that, I might do another journal with me. I think that's what's coming after that. And then maybe after that point is when we will be doing some more Egyptian stuff. So that is the plan. I hope you have a great rest of your time zone, whatever time zone that may be. And farewell.